YouTube has allowed me to have my channel back and I can upload again, I guess. They gave me a second strike on the 17th. It's the 19th. I immediately appealed it. The video they flagged, I will bring up the subject matter in a minute. The only video I had uploaded that was recent that they could have a problem with. I hadn't uploaded since January 5th. I uploaded a video on January 14th. And of course, they must have flagged the most recent one because going out of your way to flag a video that has a title and description that says redacted, expunged because YouTube is doing the YouTube Purge 2022 would be bizarrely stupid, wouldn't it? So what was the video I uploaded after they stopped preventing me from uploading? Joe Biden won the Electoral College and popular vote, and that proves that Donald Trump lost tar and feather. Instead of flagging that, which actually covers a subject YouTube and Google do not want us to talk about, they flagged a video that was labeled expunged and redacted due to YouTube Purge 2022. And the video was claimed to contain misinformation concerning election. It mentioned the election several times. Just like the video I just uploaded that said Joe Biden won. The video's subject matter included muzzle loaders, primers, the attached device that screws into them that's called a nipple, which is used instead of having just a flash hole or a place to put a primer in. Voter ID laws that are unfair because they reduce the amount of people who can vote, and they're used as a way to prevent us from being able to fire Donald Trump. And that you can look up information on Snopes and why it's reliable. So when they gave me the video back, I went out of my way to do something I knew would push their nose in their own shit. Remember, they flagged the video because of it having some audio or video content. The only video content is me on screen saying something and maybe putting my hands in front of the screen. The only thing they could have flagged it for, because it said redacted due to YouTube Purge 2022 and the word expunged somewhere in the title and or description, is the audio. And, well, we've given it a second look. And we've determined that it doesn't violate our guidelines, so the strike is removed. They won't remove the other strike because they have to maintain at least one strike so they can keep fucking with me. And, of course, they'll flag this for misinformation of some kind. You're not allowed to talk about literally the only thing in the news on the planet at all. You can't mention it because they'll flag it, because they'll say it's misinformation concerning that subject, or something that happened in 2020 where we fired Donald Trump. Saying we fired Donald Trump and it was a fair election will still get you flagged. Period. So now it's labeled Snopes, unfair voter ID law, muzzle loader, primer, debunking. I didn't put the word nipple in because there wasn't enough room, but it was about muzzle loader nipples, which are what you put the primer on. That's not a joke. It's not called a pasty. It's a primer. This expunged video was in response to many unrelated questions on, and then I'm going to put in redacted. Now, why would YouTube consistently flag my channel for videos that don't have a description or title and only have audio that can be misinterpreted? Because Google and YouTube's artificial intelligence bot doesn't get things right. And remember, Google makes its living off of having a bot that knows what you want to click on for advertising, and it doesn't work. And I say that every single time they flag one of my videos because this proves, by them admitting they should never have flagged the video in the first place, that the bot is wrong. And any of you who want to do advertising through Google or the parent company Alphabet or any subsidiary they're using to try to hide the Google name because they're getting a bad reputation, you're a fool to pay Google, Alphabet, or anybody associated with them anything. Because their bot constantly makes basic mistakes. Most of you have a cell phone that can identify what you're saying and type it out almost perfectly. It can recognize your face as a way to unlock the fucking phone. We won't bring up the fingerprint thing because it really is a failure. for a lot of phones. And they admit they made a mistake because the video didn't change from when they flagged it to when they reviewed it, which means the bot fucked up and flagged it, and a human said the bot is wrong. But instead of correcting the bot or telling the bot, stop being oversensitive to WAPTEC's channel, he debunks things. He doesn't post misinformation. He disproves it. They won't do that because they don't want me to open my fucking mouth. They can prove me wrong by not shutting me up. YouTube and Google have been told constantly that if a channel covers controversial subjects, but it does not tell people a lie, that they should simply disable the bot being able to scan it. And if they really want to put in the effort, pay somebody to fucking listen to the audio and look at the video and get it right. In the early days of this shit, Google and YouTube and whatever company, Alphabet, literally calling it Alphabet was probably an intelligent and probably a funny joke, had people review the videos. And what happened? I'll tell you what happened. A bunch of people infiltrated the company because they were willing to pay for low-income people to do this. And all they had to do was claim that they had no YouTube channel. And they would go in and they would, in some cases, work for an advertising company and manipulate the results by getting rid of videos that were critical of whoever wants to pay them. An army of human review people. And then they did YouTube Heroes, and the volunteers showed up. And almost 100% of them worked for politically motivated groups of people or whatever, and started rigging things. They would go in and flag things. I dealt with this for a couple of months, a long time ago, when YouTube decided to crack down on anybody who wouldn't get a Google Plus account. I started getting videos flagged that couldn't possibly be flagged. Remember, this was back when it was still being flagged by humans almost exclusively. And an army of people would come by and flag it. And they'd tell you that. But then they stopped doing it because that became something that could be banned. You would lose your privileges. You could flag it all you wanted to, but it was immediately dev nulled. And you would get reviewed, not the people you were trying to harass. Brigading, I think they called it at one point, but that's not an accurate name. And then Google had to admit in 2 court cases that people got jobs at Google and were paid rather large amounts of money to just go fuck with people. People would release their information and say, hi, I'm Captain Midnight, and I work at a Google location, and I'm an admin. I've got admin privileges. I can rig any setup you want. They would give you free views or extra, they would subscribe people without them knowing it. So you'd get a bunch of people subscribed to stuff, like they unsubscribe to you now when you really don't like that. And these admins, fake admins, would go through and get paid money to shut down a channel because you were mad at them or because you were angry. I received emails from a specific individual who will remain nameless, Pete Goose, and he told me, give me $500 or I'll have your channel shut down. And he tried to. And then later on they got smart and actually paid for it. I think he wasted a lot of money doing that. He wanted protection money. He was part of a group of people that did it. We called them the Dirty Half Dozen at one point, because there was always about 6 of them. Any more than 6, they couldn't get along with each other. Each one of them would take turns posting a video, and the others would promote it with all their sock puppet accounts, and that's how they did it. That's a long time ago. Now they don't do anything. Every single one of the people who was part of that group is now, I don't even know if they get views anymore. Their whole deal was to post contrarian, misinformation, lie to people, tell them what they really want to believe in the worst way possible, because they wanted to believe the worst is yet to come. So get ready and get right with God or whatever. And then it turned into a business. I used to work at a company that dealt with being customer support. We were hired to do customer support for this company for Boost Mobile. Boost Mobile was run by Nextel, Sprint, etc., whatever. I don't remember which. I think it was Sprint. And gangbangers would get jobs at the call centers if they could find them and add minutes to their buddies' accounts because you could do a balance transfer. That's what it was called. They would get into the other tools you weren't supposed to open, but they were available, and go ahead and make sure that their phones would never go dead so they could keep doing, illegal businesses or just make it to where their buddies at school could do this. And they get paid for it. It was really lucrative. And I got to be eventually shoveled to the team that detected and got them fired. Every once in a while, Nextel would rig the system so they wouldn't go dead. The phones would always work because the DEA contacted them and said, make sure the phones stay on. Don't explain it to anybody. We know you've been infiltrated. Also, don't fire any of the infiltrators. We need to catch them later. Major, major drug busts or whatever. Maybe it was illegal sneakers. Who knows? The point is, this started off being schoolboy pranks and, hey, I got a job somewhere where I have influence. Maybe I can give you some minutes on your phone for half cost, that kind of stuff. All the way to haranguing people, stealing their phones, stealing their accounts, transferring millions of dollars eventually. When that happened, they all got arrested at one shot because it went over the point where any state or county or the government was willing to put up with it. Thousands of people were getting screwed financially. And then their phones were turned back on and they were given literally 6 months free service in exchange for not suing. And the entire time, Boost Loop was used to monitor them. It was installed by default, enabled, and invisible because feds. It's not a conspiracy theory. It was actually done. Period, full stop. It was done. These days, it would just be enable GPS and always ping towers. So your GPS would be based on finding the towers so they know where you are within 1,000 feet and then give the GPS accurately with full resolution so they could track people. The kind of infiltration that happened ended up making it to where it justified doing that to them. And just like that, on Google, YouTube, Alphabet, there used to be a volunteer group, trusted contributors, top contributors, that would help people. And they would have a tiny amount of pull. They could contact an actual, we'll call them a representative, within YouTube and say, hey, yeah, you flagged this channel. It's a flag attack. Somebody did a downvote attack to me by going through a proxy in Sweden, and before that it was somewhere in Mississippi or whatever. They undid it. They removed the downvotes. Why? Because it was done by one person using a bot routine. Somebody gaming the system. But sometimes, their little fiefdoms, the top contributors would refuse to help. They didn't ask money. They just didn't give a shit. Or they were told eventually by the actual admins, stop, we're not going to do this anymore. We've got a plan. And now you're living in it. You're soaking in it. And none of this was paranoia. I mean, they started openly talking about it, and then a shit ton of people who were in good graces with Google and YouTube were basically banned from ever using the platform. Their IP addresses and phones were banned. And at that point, you might have noticed, this is years ago, 2014 or earlier, then also later, it was kind of a 2 or 3 year period of time, they started demanding phone calls and connections and your license and registration and papers, please. You had to give them a copy of your photo ID. It didn't matter if it was authentic. They could say, we can't read it or we don't like it. Because everybody's got a full color scanner. I didn't. Now, the bot is running supreme because it gets rid of the infiltrator factor. Now the bot is only corrected by trusted army of humans, the monkeys, winged monkeys. But they don't do the basics. They've been told that if someone gets flagged repeatedly and it's fake, don't let anybody flag them anymore. Always have a human review it. They're usually low maintenance channels. Or if you keep having your bot flag me for mentioning computer antivirus, that isn't about medical misinformation. I'm talking about digital computers. If I'm saying exactly what you want me to say and you still flag me, why play this game if I'm not allowed to, it's not even win, but just keep playing? This is a easily solved problem, but they would lose draconian power over every one of us, shutting us up. And proof's in the pudding. They've admitted on that video for the 4th time that flagging it and then deciding they were wrong, it's the same video 4 times, that they shouldn't have flagged it. After a while, you have to wonder if there are infiltrators working, or if it's just policy. They've stated it's policy now. They've proven it. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that. I'll stop whining for a little while until they flag me for this one, I guess.